Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe Theodore and thank you so much for joining me today. So let's talk about how you can transform your life with your moon sign. Just being aware of what your moon is can change everything. When I first discovered what my moon sign was, when I first started learning astrology, not only was I just beginning to embrace my psychic and intuitive nature, which I denied most of my, from my mid-20s, backwards, even when I was a teen. When I first started learning astrology, and then I discovered what my moon was, that changed everything. Because first I learned what my birth chart was. I saw my birth chart for the first time. I had no idea what I was looking at. I only knew what my sun sign was my whole life, of course, like everybody does. But then when I realized my moon was in Gemini, and then I didn't even know what a rising sign was at that point. I just saw the moon symbol and I'm like, I'm a Gemini moon. I wonder what that means. And then once I learned about the moon and I learned about Gemini and I learned what a Gemini moon actually means, I was blown away because it made sense. Everything made sense. My entire inner story made sense. How I feel reality, how I view reality, what my mind is capable of doing, how my mind can't stop, how I've had illnesses arise because of my mind affecting my biological system, anxiety disorders at one point in my life. I still struggle with anxiety, to some extent, but of course, now I know how to handle it. I know what situations in life are, healthy for me versus unhealthy for me. Like, for example, I was working a lot of jobs at one point in my earlier life that were insanely stimulating, And as a Gemini moon, we love to be stimulated, right? I love to be stimulated. I love to learn. I love to be fluid with my ideas. But guess what? If you're constantly stimulated, or you're constantly dealing with other people's energies, and then you're someone like me who also has his moon opposite Uranus, which is a classic sign of heightened intuition, psychic ability, but also I do have a medical condition that involves having the potential for seizures. I'm not an epileptic, but I do have a neurologist that I check in with about once every year or so, just to see how I'm doing. And but the moment I realized that my true nature is to be very sensitive to heightened stimulus that includes the mental aspects of life, like that I process everything mentally and it's very hard to ground myself. Then I've started doing so much work. I got into shamanism years ago. Shamanic practices, specifically Andean shamanism from the Q'ero people of Peru, energy medicine practices. So I've done a lot in my life to understand how to help the shadow of my moon, so I can embrace the gifts of my moon, so I can understand how to be a better teacher, or know that I'm meant to be a teacher. I'm meant to, be able to use my mind and mental skills to decode astrology and to be able to tap into my intuition on a higher level so I can communicate with whatever feeds me information. But it all comes down to me discovering something very important, and that was my moon. And then once I learned to read my astrology chart, generally speaking, everything else made sense, and I'm not going to get into that, but this video is so important for me to at least share a little bit about myself, but to relate to you that this is something you must understand for yourself too. And that is why the title of this video is also the title of a class that I pre-recorded. It is now available on my Patreon page for Midnight Astrology Academy. So Patreon, guys, for those who don't know, is a monthly subscription service, but they have a shop now, a portal where you can host classes, courses, because I'm a teacher, of course, and that is where I will have my classes and courses available. This class is now available on Patreon. You do not need to be a monthly subscriber, even though you could sign up and pay $5 to $10 a month if you would like to support my Patreon. I will upload exclusive content there. And once I get 50 patrons, I will be doing a monthly live Q&A. But at the moment, the Patreon isn't that active because I really want to make it about the portal for the classes. So this class and 2 others, which you're probably already aware that I posted those 2 videos simultaneously with this one. That's where you, if you would like to purchase this class at a very reasonable price. And there's more information about that below too, in the description box. But that to me was an amazing channeling of a teaching, because what I talk about in the class is so important for all of us to understand about our moon sign, about the shadow of the moon, what the moon represents, everything you want to know about the moon, in a reasonable way, because again, if you talk to some serious traditional astrologer out there, they can go into some ancient significations and really take you down the rabbit hole of the moon's interpretations. But at some point, too much knowledge and too much going back in time, and you kind of lose sight of what the current problems and manifestations of our emotional states as people are. So what the moon meant to some people 1,000 years ago is not necessarily what the moon means to us now as modern humans. And I, in that class, was bringing through information that I feel is really important for the kind of people we are now, with the kind of issues we struggle with now. So you can absolutely transform your entire life by becoming more self-aware of your moon. And I think it is essential for anyone interested in astrology, for anyone looking to become an astrologer, for anyone who is completely in awe by the magic of astrology, and for anyone who is really trying to self-transform their life and understand more deeply things about themselves. So I really encourage you guys to go check out the class. Again, links are down below. And I'm really looking forward to you guys learning from that. And and if you'd like, come back to this video and leave a comment on how you enjoyed the class, because that would be really nice for anybody in the future who comes across this video, and it might inspire them to want to purchase the class as well. So with that being said, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, supporting my work, and I will see you all very soon.